This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
California is such a beautiful state. It's so tax-friendly. Nobody's leaving these days. Have you noticed that, Matt?
Oh, I don't know if you're being a little sarcastic here, but I've got a number of people in my neighborhood on a regular basis, and I see those signs in their front yard because they want to take advantage of the value in their home. Is that one of the primary reasons?
Yep. We see a lot of people moving because, they want to capitalize on the equity because California has appreciated more than other spots. But where I see people get into trouble is they're moving just to move. Like it's almost like an impulse thing. They're just frustrated and they feel helpless and they move. And they move somewhere where they maybe have never visited before or they don't know anybody.
Right.
Or maybe they think they can get a job there. And then they end up not liking it. And then they end up trying to come back. But that's very hard to undo.
Yeah.
When you moved to Mobile, Alabama. Great. You got this great house in Mobile, but you're not coming back to California.
Right. And of course, you deal with this on a regular basis with Made for More Living. And they can find more information at madeformoreliving.com or madeformore.com.
Madeformoreliving.com.
Madeformoreliving.com. Johnny Jennings. So you're experiencing this on a regular basis.
Yep.
What are you seeing with those people that make that impulsive decision? Are you saying that is not something they should be doing?
I definitely would not suggest moving your family on an impulse, decision. But I totally understand why. Like Valerie and I, earlier on in our marriage, traveled all 50 states, and we wanted to figure out where we wanted to live. And there were some states that we thought we would be more interested in. There were some states we thought, there's no interest, but we want to hit all 50 just to check all the boxes. And what we found, spoiler alert, we're in California, right? And so we're from California. We're still in California, so we're going to pay the sunshine tax as long as possible.
Right. Yeah, but you have folks who like you said, they want to retire to a tax-friendlier state.
Yep.
Maybe they want to move closer to the grandkids or the kids, and they do see all of this appreciation in their home. They want to take advantage of it. They want to move to an area where they can get more for their dollar, right? And so from your experience traveling to all these different states, East Coast, West Coast, South, North, where have you seen that were maybe runner-ups where you would recommend if somebody's determined to move out of Northern California, out of the Sacramento area, where would you recommend and why?
Yeah. So what I'll start with is where we're seeing more people move. Like everybody was talking about Idaho for a hot second, or for years, actually, years ago. I hear very few people moving to Idaho.
And why were people deciding on Idaho? Why did that become the hot destination for people leaving California?
I think the climate was very similar, not exactly the same, but like not as extreme as Minnesota to what they were used to in California. And there were some benefits, and you could buy a beautiful property for much less than what you could buy here in California. So they were cash out, buy their forever home in Idaho, and then still have some money in the bank left over. But now prices have gone up in Idaho, same as they've gone up in Montana. Same as so Montana was more like a COVID thing, but we still see a lot of people moving to Texas, a lot of people moving to Florida. The Carolinas, I'm hearing more about the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina. One's more family-friendly, one's more retiree-friendly. And then Tennessee. We hear a lot moving to Tennessee.
What about Texas? What was your experience in Texas?
Man, I don't get it. I really do not get it. So been there a few times.
Is it because of the weather?
Yeah. So for me, it's the weather thing. Like especially at the time I was working outside, so I'm in the oil fields. And so I'm coming from the perspective of if I were to be living life out here, if I were to go for a walk, if I was to work outside, if I was to do something, in the great outdoors, what would this be like? And but the first time I went to Texas, Valerie and I drove from Oklahoma City down to Dallas. And so we were at Toby Keith's, he's got this
restaurant?
This restaurant.
Right.
He was at this restaurant. And so we ate breakfast there. We got in the car, cranked up the AC, and drove down to Texas. We get out of the car in Texas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened? Because this just wave of humidity hit me.
Right.
And then the temperature's up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think JFK was shot. I think he was just riding around a Cadillac or a convertible. Okay. So it was
That's hilarious.
The weather's not what we're used to as Californians.
But everybody has their own personal preference.
Correct.
So what might not be comfortable for you? One of my bosses here at the radio station, he's right now in Phoenix, where on Monday in the middle of spring, it's going to be 96 degrees. He's going to go play golf and he's going to love it. Yeah. He's like that,
I prefer dry heat personally, but what shocked me in traveling all the states is how humid the rest of the country is. You get east of the Rockies, I don't care if you're in Texas or if you're in Fargo, North Dakota, or in Wisconsin, there is humidity.
All right. So I want to get from you 2 recommendations from somebody that's listening. Okay, they're retiring. They're done with their career. They're ready to move and take advantage of the equity in their home, and they want to retire. What's a great place in the United States to take that retirement and move out?
So it's a complicated question. All I can say is from my personal preference, Valor and I really liked south of Nashville, Brentwood and Franklin.
Oh, right.
That's where we liked. So
that's a very affluent area, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like home. It feels like Roseville. It feels like Rockland.
Does it?
It feels like where we're at right now. The weather it has the 4 seasons. It's not as extreme. An up and comer actually is Arkansas. I'm hearing a lot of people moving to Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah.
I would never think that about Arkansas.
Neither would I. And then I have somebody actually right now considering moving into northern Mississippi. So
some of those southern areas you're saying is a great recommendation for people that want to retire.
If you're looking to save money, the South will blow me away. Full transparency.
But isn't there humidity in the South as well?
There is humidity. But as far as money, what blew me away is how poor the South is. Like really, like you can buy some fantastic properties for much like pennies on the dollar of what you could get here.
Wow.
But the reason why it's better for retirees is because you don't have to work. Right, you have your retirement coming in.
Sure.
If you're a young family and you're looking to move to Dallas, and you're looking to move to Louisiana, or you're looking to move to Florida, their hourly what the typical person earns in those states is much lower than what they're going to earn in Sacramento.
Okay.
And so you're just trading dollars at that point. Like there's no gain. But if you're taking a lump of money and you have this high salary that's coming in regularly, and now you're moving to a low cost environment, that makes sense. But you also want to make sure that you understand the economics of the state. So they may not have high state income taxes, but they may have high property taxes, and so it may end up being largely a wash. So a great resource is go to wallethub.com, and they'll actually break down the different states and how their taxes compare to the state that you're in.
Awesome. Okay, and then lastly, before we go, what are some places you would say to avoid that there, like you said, is a wash, or there's really no benefit, or maybe it's overhyped? It's not all that it's cracked up to be if people are planning to sell California and move elsewhere.
Yeah, so we're talking about bad places. So
I mean, you mentioned Texas. You think Texas is a little bit overhyped? It's not all that it's cracked up to be?
Texas is 1,000% overhyped. 1,000%.
Why?
The economics aren't really that favorable.
Depending on the area that you move to, right?
Well, that and just the state economics, right? Like what
is something that maybe people haven't fully understand when they move to Texas? They hear about all these great things, the politics, right? Maybe that they're going to get more for their buck in Texas because they've had friends or family, but maybe there's some things that they didn't quite really fully comprehend until they moved there. Because you're right, we've had some friends who moved there, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize that," and they moved back.
Property taxes is a big one. Property taxes.
Explain the difference between California and Texas when it comes to property tax.
So I'm not a pro in how taxes work in Texas, just disclaiming that. But basically, the property taxes are higher than they are here. And so you may not even feel the property taxes when you're living, year to year in your home here, but you will feel it out there.
Oh, okay. And so the state tax is lower, but your property tax is much higher.
So the total amount of money that you're paying out to the government is not the same, but it's almost it's on par. And for me, the trade-off isn't worth it. And then the average incomes are lower. There's a lot of growth out there. There's if you're wanting to grow a business, if you're wanting to, hey, we're going to restart and we're going to put down roots and we're going to grow. Okay, consider that. But if you're thinking it's just going to be, you're just going to hit the easy button, move to Texas, and it's all going to be roses and rainbows, it's not.
Wow. Okay, That's good. So if there's somebody listening, whether they're thinking about retiring or they just want to make a job change or they want to take advantage of the equity in their home and they want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, a conversation of how they can sell their home, and no matter what kind of condition it's in, they want to make some money off their home, how would they do that? Yeah,
so just go ahead, reach out to us. You can Google Made for More Living. You can go to madeformoreliving.com, book an appointment. It's free. Happy to have the conversation. And what I will say is we'll give you options, because this is something we deal with on a regular basis. And so there's not like a one-size-fits-all type of a solution.
Sure. Absolutely. And also they can even find out what kind of offers they would get on their home and even possibly a cash offer, right?
Yep. So we have a suite of services, different programs ranging from, a buy before you sell. So if you don't want to go through the hassle of living in the home while you're finding your next home, we have a buy before you sell. We have a guaranteed cash offer program. And so we're happy to discuss those options.
Awesome. More to come. Stick around. Mike, wouldn't you agree friends are friends, right?
Yes, not food.
Yeah, friends are friends, not food. Because it can be a little challenging when you get into a business relationship with friends. Like, for instance, Mark and Julia, they wanted to downsize their home in El Dorado Hills, so they called a friend who was a realtor. But their friend was just unable to sell their home, went through a lot of challenges. So they called up our good friend Johnny Jennings and the Tom Daves real estate team. And guess what? Johnny Jennings was able to sell their home in 10 days and negotiate a 40-day rent back. Isn't that great?
Yeah, see, that's what happens when you work with professionals and you're able to really trust that they are going to do what needs to be done no matter what. And Johnny and his team are exactly that. If you'd love to maybe find out how much you could get for your house, high-end, low-end offers, or maybe just a cash offer and be done, you can reach out to Johnny Jennings and his team at tomdaves.com. That's TomDaves.com. Or you can always call 855 Tom Daves. You will not be disappointed. License number 581837.